T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. T-minus 7 minutes. T-minus 6 minutes. T-minus 5 minutes. Stand by.
How about that?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Very big day. I always like these Wednesdays because, as you know, I get to be the Larry King of sports talk radio and just rock it on my own. I didn't write down any obscure names or locations today, but let's have fun with it. We got some big announcements. Everybody's getting assembled in the chat. And let us know where you're watching from today. Get the comments and questions in. This is the warm-up brought to you by our good friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel across Western Canada. As you know, I'm a huge Western Canadian guy. And another one is going to be joining us coming up in hour 2 when we go to air across Nevada on Silver State Sports. Darren Dupont will be joining us. And as I get into the sports talk here right away, I'll just tell you that the channels are open. The text line, 902-518-3033. If you want to reach me here, Western Dodge text line or the chat. Tell me what's on your mind today. Yesterday, June 2nd, was the 8-year birthday of the RP show, the 8-year anniversary. And I didn't even think about it. Morning, guys. The Millers are here. The Millers have shown up for their workout. So I was walking around the ballpark last night. I was broadcasting baseball. I didn't see Stanley Cup Final Game 1. I'm muttering around. I'm like an hour before first pitch. I'm like, June 2nd. Why does that ring? June 2nd. Oh, wait. June 2nd, 2019 was the first episode of the RP show. So happy 8th birthday to us, Darren's brainchild. So he's going to come on and talk sports with us and maybe a few memories coming up in hour 2. That'll be fun. But you're here to talk sports. Thank you, Bill Dalby. He has checked in from Brantford. Thank you, Bill, for finding us here on YouTube. There's a guy that wrote me this morning on Instagram. He's like, when are you and Moose going to get back on Game Plus TV? I miss you. I said, I don't know. You should write or call Game Plus. That's all I can say. It's their channel. We're over here doing our thing, minding our own business. Quick 6 show topics, as I said, for Neil Chark, Uniglobe Carefree Travel. He's probably watching right now in Vancouver, too. Because we got a lot of CFL talk to get to here in hour 1, the Canadian hour. Neil in Vancouver, hello. That kind of sounds like something Larry King would say. And by the way, score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join CFL legend Adam Bighill and Rough Riders linebacker Jameer Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale on February 20th. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99. Cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Travel. Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. So point 1 of the quick 6 show topics is the Stanley Cup Final. It's the biggest news across the land, and I'm frankly really enjoying everything coming off the Stanley Cup Final, all the talk of it and all the rest. We'll get into the football after the break. We'll have far more time for that. So a lot of things here. Every year that I've been calling Miller's baseball, and it's multiple years now, the boys in the press box always have the Stanley Cup playoffs on. This year, they don't. And I didn't ask why. Their names are James and Chumley and Corey. It's a big crew to pull off this baseball thing. And I can only assume it's because they don't want to pay for the streaming, and I don't want to pay for the streaming. We already got the damn cable. I got it on my phone. We got to pay more to watch the Stanley Cup play. No, nobody's really interested in that. So as far as the game, I didn't see a shift of it. Tomas Hertl took a backhand pass from Colton Sissons and beat Freddie Anderson from the slot with 3:24 to go in the third period, lifting the Vegas Golden Knights past the Carolina Hurricanes 5-4 in Tuesday night's Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Game 2 goes Thursday in Raleigh, with Vegas already having taken away home ice from the Hurricanes as it chases the second Cup title in 4 seasons. So a couple things on this. I didn't see any of it. But the one good thing about social media these days is you can follow along as the game goes along. I kind of had an idea what was going on, and the scores were crazy. 1-0 Carolina a minute in, 3-1 the Canes went up. Vegas comes back, it's 3-3, it's 4-4, and then it's 5-4 with a couple minutes. What a game. Jared Dumba from the Hockey Playing Dumba family said on Facebook, this was the greatest game of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I'm like, oh, great, and I'm not even watching it. That's one. Two, Greg Wyshynski, who I got to know from ESPN during the outdoor games in Florida. He was at both. Met him there. He was tweeting that the upper deck at Lenovo Center in Raleigh last night was chanting, No means no. At Carter Hart, we all know the story. I tweeted this morning, Karma, maybe you should shut your mouths. Because didn't that come back to bite you, Hurricanes fans? So I was talking on the phone this morning. I mean, chant what you want. We are, 5 minutes in today's show, and I'll tell you the quick little life lesson. A quick pathway to being frustrated and pissed off is telling somebody else how to live. Because they're not going to do it. That's number one. So I'm not going to tell you, chant whatever you want. But what you probably did was fire up Carter Hart to shove it down your throat. And since it's the Rod Pedersen show, and I will say it, what part of found not guilty do you not understand? So there's that. It's something Carter Hart's going to have to deal with probably for a very long time. Like the Vegas Golden Knights, I'm on his side. So a couple things there. Was it the best game of the Stanley Cup playoffs? It certainly seemed to be. And then here's another one. I told you yesterday that I was on the air with Kenny Nagunst down in Amarillo, Texas, 806 Sports. And Kenny's telling me he bet the under because I said it was going to be a low-scoring series. He's texting me during the ball game last night. Thanks a lot, Rod. I took the under. I always said don't follow me for betting advice. I admire the guys that do and gals. Joe Madden's had a tremendous career with sports picks and that. I mean, she wouldn't have lasted this long if she wasn't good at it. But like Biz and me, like, we're out of the business. I'm not telling you what to bet. So what I think was going to happen, but to go lay down money, if you're, hockey is Kenny's number one sport. He should know better, but that's what's fun about it. You never know what's going to happen. That's why we watch. And again, it didn't bother me to miss the game last night because I was broadcasting baseball. If there's one thing that I've realized, I'm focused on what's right in front of you and what's paying you, Rod. The Moose Jaw Miller Express. We got bombed last night, 8-1 by the visiting Weyburn Beavers, but whatever. We had a great time, and it was fun following the game. BW writes in and says, Rod, with you wearing a Jets hoodie, does that mean you have an update on Doan joining Winnipeg? First I heard of it. Jason in Red Deer writes in, he says, happy victory morning. Oh, what a night. Last night. Was it, guys and gals, the greatest playoff game of these Stanley Cup? It sure seemed like it, following along on social. And one more, we're going to be breaking here in 45 seconds. Elliot Friedman tweeting that there's some people that are upset that they had the Stanley Cup out on the ice prior to game one last night. Everything's changed now. Everything's changed. We kind of felt that way. I was sitting in Lone Depot Park in Miami with Brent from Wellington. They brought the Stanley Cup out in the first intermission. Actually, Barkov and Kachuk did because they weren't playing. We're like, what? Why are they doing that? They brought it out onto the stage where there was the band. Everything's changed in sports and more, actually. We'll get into that and a lot of football talk when we come back on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
21-time nominated Grammy Award winner Dwight Yoakam. Live in concert. June 24th, 7 p.m., Temple Garden Center. Dwight Yoakam. On sale now at sasktix.ca. Dwight Yoakam Live.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We are at it from the Golden Ticket Sports Center, 902-518-3033. So much to get to. I will just say for the streaming viewers, you see that commercial for Dwight Yoakam. June 24th, he'll be playing in Moose Jaw, and it's the biggest show Moose Jaw's ever seen. And that's saying something, because we've had Dolly Parton, we've had Shania Twain, we've had Clint Black, we've had Mark Chestnut, a bunch of rock acts that, frankly, is not really my thing. But it's going to be the biggest show Moose Jaw's ever seen. And Vintage Sasko wrote in here earlier. He said, what's your favorite Dwight Yoakam song? He caught me off guard a little bit because I like them all. My favorite song is the Cheap Trick cover by Dwight Yoakam, I Want You to Want Me. And I will have a very tough time staying in my seat that night. I will have a very tough time staying in my seat at the Rempel Temple that night when Dwight Yoakam busts into that Cheap Trick cover. It's my favorite Dwight Yoakam song. Thanks for asking. Just ahead of the football talk, 902-518-3033. Well, we got some great stuff coming in from the viewers. Way more hockey talk coming up in hour two, okay? Because it would make sense, right? That's the Vegas hour. When we're on Silver State Sports there, we are Vegas's favorite hockey show. That's what they tell me. John in Edmonton has written in with a machine gun of questions. So I'll read one. Mr. Rod, the commissioner of the NHL, was asked yesterday about Alberta and BC switching to a new time zone that will be the same. How will that impact scheduling games? It's just not the NHL. It's the WHL, CEBL, CFL, and other sports leagues. I don't care. So what I would say is deal with it. I saw you complaining earlier about the Canadian drought continuing in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you're blaming Gary Bettman. You're always going to blame Gary Bettman. You're probably really happy that he announced yesterday, Gary Bettman, that he's not going anywhere. I think he said he's 74 with no plans to retire. And I talked yesterday about how I love that dude. So I do. So let's move on. Way more hockey coming up in hour two because that's what the Vegans want. That's what they tell me. Can I go in order here? David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in. He says, can VA ever lead the Stampeders to a Grey Cup? Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, hey, Rod, if Chad Kelly has a season like he did in 2023, the Scullers may win the East. Wayne in Victoria, BC, writing, Wayne in Victoria, hello. He says, good morning, Rod and Squad. Great first Stanley Cup final. Great, and I missed it. Bob in Medicine Hat writes in. He says, good morning, Rod. Bob from the Hat again watching your show. Can't wait for the Rider season to start. I'll be there in my seat June 13th. Go, Riders, go. You have a great day, Rod. Listen, I'll be at the game too. I'm not at this time willing or interested in divulging how or why or how that's going to happen. All I will say is it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're driving through from Medicine Hat to the Rider game for that June 13th weekend, why don't you stop here in Moose Jaw, Mad Greek Eatery, visit all of our wonderful sponsors. Maybe buy a car at Western Dodge. 902-518-3033 is the text line there. So back to my script here. The CFL's top 50 players were named by TSN last night, and I'm far more interested in what today's poll question is, which is Canada's Game of the Week, and we'll get to that in a second. But the top 5, I didn't call up the top 50 players. I know when I worked in the league, it was actually a really big deal among the players. Even though it really doesn't mean anything, these kinds of things are a hell of a lot of fun to talk about. I'm a little surprised by some of them. I'm assuming, Matt Dunnigan was always like the captain of this committee to name the top 50, and all of his guys. I'm sure it's the current CFL on TSN people, obviously, right? Number 1, Nathan Rourke of the BC Lions, which, by the way, I've talked with Amar Doman privately, plus on this show, plus Lions staff, because they're so good to this show. I said, listen, when I pick at Nathan Rourke for not winning a Grey Cup yet, you're welcome. And they all laugh. They're like, we know what you're doing. We know, Rod, but we're also coming at you. We have to defend our guy. I'm like, oh, okay, good. Then we're all on the same page here. Because I don't know Nathan Rourke real well, but he seems, look, let me just say it, like a Zach, like a Bo, like a me. He kind of seems like a bit of a prick. Doesn't he? Come on, he does. Nathan Rourke. And with guys like that, doubt us. Please doubt us. Because with a large percentage of the population, you get criticized, you get upset, you cry, you turtle, you give up. But for the 1%ers, what did Cody Fajardo say? F you, just watch. He's one of them. So the top 5 are these. Nathan Rourke, number 1, BC Lions. Number 2, Bo Levi Mitchell, quarterback, Hamilton Tiger Cat. Number 3, wide receiver Kenny Lawler, Hamilton Tiger Cats. Number 4, BC Lions defensive end Matthew Betts. Number 5, BC Lions wide receiver Keon Hatcher Sr. But just so you know, that's all that I copied. I didn't bother to look at the rest because the lists are subjective. They don't mean anything. It's just opinion, and like belly buttons, everybody has an opinion. Most stink. Check yours. I bet it does. So whatever. I've even thought about who I think is the best player in the CFL. There are many, like these Argo fans and the Argo people will tell you that it's Chad Kelly, and he's won it before. I mean, I'm not real interested in going down this road too far, other than to say every time the Argos or the CFL post anything with Chad Kelly's image, they're just getting hammered on by people on social media to the point that they go and delete it. At what point is that ever going to end? I kind of sense like it's never going to end, so you just got to post it and take cover until maybe they stop. I don't know Carter Hart personally, but I kind of get a sense where, look, with them chanting last night, no means no. Is this ever going to end? I feel like it will probably end at some point. I don't know. But I also feel like it's firing him up. So keep trolling Carter Hart, you idiots in Raleigh. Way to go. Bravo. You just motivated the goalie for the other team. And by the way, you're down 0-1 in the Stanley Cup Final. Nice work. 902-518-3033. Again, best players in the CFL. Sure, let's say Nathan Rourke. Sure. It's just when you are not on top, you work every single day and get out of bed every morning to be on top. So that's why, what did Dennis Green say? If you want to crown their ass, crown him. Nathan Rourke. Hey. Coach DeBuck has checked in from Fort Lauderdale. He says, can we get your picks on the CFL games, RP? I'm doing it right now. Yeah, you said my picks are cold. And Vancouver Eric also says, nice guys finish last. Wrong! As I brought that up in a business meeting in South Florida a few months ago. I said, do you believe nice guys finish last? And a lady who's probably watching right now from West Palm, she goes, no, nice guys stay out of jail. Right? Hey, DeBuck, I'm a nice guy. I don't finish last. I think Nathan Rourke is nice. He's just a little bit of a prick. DeBuck's a prick. BW says, sounds like a country song. What does? What sounds like a country? Nice guys finish last? Nice guys stay out of jail? Hang on. I'll get to the picks. I got to keep you watching. I can't give you the picks because then you're going to leave. Right? Utah, Darren writes in and he says, it's fun to listen to this Chad Kelly argument because I have never heard of the players above him, and I only know the name Chad Kelly because of his Halloween incident in Denver. I don't even want to know about Chad Kelly's Halloween incident in Denver. I don't want to know about it. What I will tell you is there's a hell of a lot of really great players in the Canadian Football League. Did we not we made our picks yesterday, DeBuck. Where were you? I actually have them written down here, but the poll question today is for Country Thunder, as it always is. The biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, the RP show. We're all going to be there, and you can too. countrythunder.com/SK for your tickets. The poll is, what is Canada's game of the week? And there are only 3 games. And it's Thursday night. It's the Montreal Alouettes at the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And I'll tell you, a lot of the people that were here, DeBuck, know this. I picked Montreal. Scruffy picked the Ticats. The picks are for Pump Jacks Cathedral, Pump Jacks Weyburn. Come early and stay late at the place where friends meet. Friday night, it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Calgary Stampeders. I took the Horsemen. Scruffy took the Bombers. And on Saturday, it's the Edmonton Elkamos at the Ottawa Redblacks. And we both took Edmonton because we all know it's that time of year again. Death, taxes, and Fajardo winning. Those are the things that you can count on in life. What's the biggest game of the 3? Which is the poll question, and I haven't even looked at what the results are. I put them up on Instagram. Maybe Jason or Redyear can update me on what the poll is. But my guess is that it'll be Winnipeg, Calgary. Let's be honest. Those 2 cities are in the top 5 regions for viewerships of this fine program. And I'm a Western Canadian guy. I will always be a Western Canadian guy. So for me, it's Calgary, Winnipeg at McMahon Stadium. That's my vote for Canada's game of the week. But who's kidding who? I'm going to be watching them all. Who's kidding who? I'm going to be watching them all because I love the Canadian Football League. It's a West Division collision. I don't know. There was a time where those always meant a lot. And again, where were you yesterday, DeBuck? Because John Bender was on here, and oh, Nelly, did we have fun. 0-3, he says, whatever. You talk a lot, DeBuck. We'll do our talking on the field. We'll see. But where's your picks? Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes that he says Duck Hodges will also be at Craven. That is an interesting pairing, is it not? The former Ottawa Redblacks quarterback, and he had a cup of coffee at the NFL, right? He's married Lainey Wilson. I would have thought she'd have married a Cowboy, but maybe she's tired of Cowboys, and I don't really know. But anyway, speaking of female country acts, or acts in general, John Bender was on here yesterday and just dropped this bomb and walked away like it wasn't a big deal. I said, when's the Stampede Bowl? Remember that was a big deal last year. I couldn't remember. It was Winnipeg and Calgary, right? And didn't Calgary motorboat the Bombers in the Stampede Bowl, the first ever Stampede Bowl? The Bombers motorboated them, didn't they? I don't remember the game. I remember Brett Michaels at halftime. Flashbacks. Electric Avenue, 1990, Poison, Mount Royal College, Brett Michaels, Stampede Bowl. So Bender says, it's July 2nd, and they have not named an act yet. And he's like, I don't want to divulge too much, but I think it's going to be a female. And I'm like, I think you're okay, John. You've just eliminated 50% of the entire entertainment world, but I think and where I said this was fun, the viewers were all writing in with, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Shania Twain. Somebody said Taylor Swift. Who did you all say? Who were the guesses? Jason in Red Deer says Duck Hodges is a cowboy if you look at photos on social media. Okay. Utah Darren says Duck Hodges kind of sounds like a cowboy name. Yeah. Yep. It's funny being out here back in Western Canada where there are so many cowboys. And my brother's a cowboy. His name came up yesterday in terms of being a real rodeo cowboy, which he was. I said he wanted to make me a cowboy. I said, I only want to be a cowboy like 3 weeks a year. Cowboys for Craven, Calgary Stampede, and Agribition, and then after that, I'm good. I don't want to be a cowboy every day. Nope. I like to shower. I don't know. You call me crazy. I like to have a shower. Jason in Red Deer says Alanis Morissette. Edmonton says Terry Clark. She's from Calgary. She's from Medicine Hat. Don't get it twisted. There was a rumor that her and I had a relationship. It didn't happen, but I didn't stop the rumor. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca. Or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show on a Wednesday, right? It's just me solo in hour one. Moose coming up in hour two. That is the Silver State Sports Hour when we go to air in Las Vegas. If you just joined us or you have not been watching since the top of the show, what we've been talking about is Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final last night. Vegas beating Carolina 5-4 in Game 1. They are now 3 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. Far more hockey talk coming up in hour two. The second point, and that's kind of where we stopped, which is fine, because it's the Canadian Hour. We're in CFL season, and I'm going to say it again. I have zero issues talking CFL in season. I'm just not going to do it in January and February. Nope, but I'm all over it now. And so the poll question today for Country Thunder is, what's Canada's game of the week in the CFL? We made our picks already. In Matt DeBuck's defense, Coach DeBuck watching in Fort Lauderdale today, huge CFL fan, huge CFL guy. He's alum. He said, what are your picks? We got to get them out. We got to post them to our social media channels. Millions of impressions a month from our social media. And the poll is, what's the game of the week? So thank you, Jason and Red Deer. He wrote it. He's got the updated stats. 57% of you voting for the Winnipeg-Calgary game. Remind me again, because neither one of those is my team. It was a rout last year, and Calgary routed the Bombers, right, in the Stampede Bowl. I mean, I watched it, but I was far more ensconced with Brett Michaels, to be honest, which is totally fine. That's that yeah, but thing. It's like the people that say, oh, yeah, but 43,000 showed up for the 50-cent game, but they all left at halftime. Yeah, but so what? They were there. I watched the game. I just don't remember who won. I tuned in for Brett Michaels. 57% Winnipeg-Calgary. That leads for Canada's game of the week. 29% say Montreal-Hamilton, and 14% say Edmonton-Ottawa, which is interesting because I've said it a couple times here. I was on the air in Edmonton last week with Jason Greger and the afternoon host, and he said this is the biggest game in the history of the Elks franchise. And I'm like, I thought about it for a second. I'm like, well, let's be honest. They haven't had a lot of big games. Scruffy and I both picked Edmonton to win that game. But those are two fan bases. That is a franchise, two franchises that need some serious sprucing up. And I will only mention this here right now. I see the people bitching about the fact there's only 3 games and 3 teams run a bye. And I don't know. It's easy to be negative. It's easy to bitch. It's easy to look for that. It's far harder to be positive, frankly, and that's where I don't care. I wish there was more games. There isn't. So, hey, Thursday, Friday, Saturday works just fine for me. And Wayne's watching in Victoria, BC. He writes in and says, that's right, Rod. We CFL fans watch all the games. Go, Riders, go. Which it goes back to what I was saying. I'll be honest. What I'm realizing about the media, it's not really the media's fault that they have zero inkling of business. They have no idea about business. And when you do know it, and I've been running my own 2 companies since one since 2013, the other since 2017, you see things differently. Because the media just don't understand. And I'll look at this from a business perspective. Last night, we're in the press box at the baseball game, Western Canadian Baseball League, and the guys did not put on the Stanley Cup playoff game. And I'm like, guys, you always have the game on. Like every year you've had the playoff games on. I've been doing this for years with you. And they're like, And it wasn't per se that it's Vegas, Carolina. Like, I don't know what the ratings are, but I haven't seen anything today that says it was the most watched Game 1 Stanley Cup Final ever, because I'm sure it was nowhere near that. But the guys didn't call it up on their phones last night because now you got to pay in Canada to stream, even if you have the cable subscription, which I do. I'm not paying extra to watch it. Those guys weren't paying extra to watch it. So the point of it is this is where the CFL is for next year. They had to get into the streaming mode. We talked about this a lot last week. And then Monday, some people got so upset talking about that they've gone away and never came back. And by the way, if they want to be little bitches, bye. But the point is the CFL is going to have to work real hard, and they're not dumb. They know this, to give you a reason to dig into your pocket, to pay the extra whatever it is, to watch those games on DAZN next year. We didn't watch Game 1 of the Stanley Cup. We could have, but why? And just the way, just people. It's people. You wonder why I go on these long walks or just, I don't know if it's an age thing or I'm just tired of people. Like, they just want to bitch about everything. You got to pay to watch our broadcast on Flow College Baseball. And to be honest, I can't believe the amount of numbers that we have for the viewers of that league. But you got to pay for the whole season or per game. You just have to. Why should the CFL not? Why should that be a free product for everybody? Just because you've always had it for free? It's not the way of the world anymore. And, Wayne and I agree, and any hardcore CFL fan. Like, here's another one. I'm going down a road that I don't like, but I was on a podcast yesterday, the Onion Lake Cree Nation podcast yesterday. And the host, who's a longtime, really good guy, truck wagon announcer, Greg Buchanan, he just goes, hey, Ron, I love the CFL, and I know you do too, but my 33-year-old son, he doesn't watch it. He's an NFL fan. I said, I don't care what he wants, what he likes or does. I don't care. That's not my job. We came on to talk CFL football. That's what I want to talk about, CFL. Well, the kids stop. I don't care what the kids are doing. I care what I want to watch. And it's these games. And what's tomorrow? John Murphy's going to be with us. That's going to be great. The longtime CFL personnel man, John Murphy, will be joining us from Houston to preview these games and also the teams that are on a bye. Murph most recently working with the Toronto Argonauts front office. I was adding it up the other day. We were together 3 years in SAS, 2016, 17, 18. Spent a lot of time together. So Murph's going to be with us to talk about the games tomorrow. That'll be great. And then even more on Friday, I don't know who the hell's going to. Maybe it'll just be me and you. But we'll have something to talk about because we'll have Thursday night's game, the Montreal-Hamilton game. Yeah, I know that I'm not going to change people or change the world. You want to sit and bitch about what the kids are watching and the this and the that, and there's three. Go ahead. But I'm not. Kirk in Toronto on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033, says, everybody and their dogs picking the Argos to finish last. And I'm sure that's okay with Coach Mike Miller and his boatmen. On paper, their defense is much improved. I got into this the other day. That's the difference between football people and hockey people. The football people are like, yeah, you better pick us first. That's why I got so confused when I got into the football world, because it's 180 from the hockey people, where it's like, don't talk about us, don't pick us first, just don't talk about us. In terms of that, the predictions, they just don't want to know. The football people are just aggressive, as they say. 902-518-3033. We've done our picks yesterday. Mentioned them again here today. Talking about who's going to be the artist for the Stampede Bowl. It's not going to be Lainey Wilson. Oh, maybe it is. I don't know, but they're all talking about Duck Hodges. The guy didn't even have a cup of coffee. The guy had an espresso in the CFL. He didn't even have a cup of coffee, Duck Hodges. I think I was in the league when he came in. I don't even remember watching him play. We all remembered him by his name. Somebody want to acquaint me why I should know who Duck Hodges is? Like, it's Mike Fisher, who married Carrie Underwood, had a very decent NHL career. We all know who Mike Fisher is. He's not Mr. Carrie Underwood. He's Mike Fisher, the Nashville Predators alum. Duck Hodges probably is Mr. Lainey Wilson. That's what he will go down as. I had mentioned earlier in the week, and thank you, Ryan McCarthy's reminded me, he says he's made his CFL picks. Montreal, Calgary, and Ottawa. Here's the answer. There's only 3 games, but none of us can agree on what all the results are going to be, and that's why we got to watch. But I said, if I can trust you to keep track of your own picks, that'll be a hell of a lot of fun. We're going to do ours every week for Pump Jacks Cathedral and Pump Jacks Weyburn. If you can keep track of yours, that'll be fun, and we'll have some prizes at the end of the year. Just don't cheat. We got a sports update coming up, more viewer takeover. I told you that we were going to have fun today. And by the way, viewer Shane's running a CFL fantasy too. He says he's got spots open. You can find him in the chat. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back. Trying to stay as focused as we can here on this Wednesday, but it's a big day, episode number 1749. Yesterday was our 8-year birthday of the RP Show. 1,749 episodes of this program since it launched June 2nd, 2019. And that kind of ties into something that is also going on today. Before I get back to the sports, BW from Edmonton writes in, he says, I watched the CKRM YouTube interview. Oof, Rod Pedersen. Great interview. Be sure to watch it after today's show. Today, I'm very grateful and honored to have been named one of the 9 icons of CKRM radio in this 100-year birthday of the radio station, Canada's greatest radio station, CKRM Regina. And 9 guys basically going to their Hall of Fame. And I've known it for months, been sitting on it for months. Today they announced it. It's a really big deal. It's like if it was a sports team or a league, it would be like a Hall of Fame for them, but it's for the radio station, which quite frankly is my passion. So I'll ask you out of curiosity, BW, what did you find interesting about that interview? Because I got pretty real in it, but I get real here every day. That's why I'm sitting here right now. I get pretty real in that interview that CKRM was good enough to do. It's being shared everywhere, so thanks. Yeah. Icon, they call it. Thank you. Joe, our business. Oh, I should ask, by the way, hang on. Can I have a minute? When they have this gala July 18th, I don't know if there's going to be speeches or not, but I do want to say one thing's popping in my mind. Joe is my longtime business manager, and he's going to be with me that night. But also, all of the producers, you have to understand something. A lot of you just found me, but a lot of you have been listening for years. It was literally thousands of games called on that radio station. Football and hockey, Rams, Riders, Pats, Regina's teams. And the producers, producer Corey Now, there, Chris Lipp, Adam Bouvier, Sean Zinger, Kleisinger, Morris, the Rod Weeder Delorme, all those guys producing all those games for those decades on that radio station. I want to thank them, because not only are you nothing without them, because you don't survive without those people. They can fry you too. So I want to thank those guys for all being such professionals. And Jacinta, there was a girl in there as well. And producer Corey. So thank you, Brent in Saskatoon. Right, says congratulations on that honor. Thank you, Brent. It feels good. I'll be honest, it feels good. The guys, so yesterday's poll question was, who are you cheering for in the Stanley Cup? And do you know what won the poll? 42% led it. Neither. I almost felt like we could have said, are you following the Stanley Cup Final? I don't know what that would be. Kirk in Toronto said 71% of Torontonians are not following the Stanley Cup Final. That's just such a Toronto thing. I do have written down, I mean, I saw here this morning Patrick Waugh and Peter Laviolette are being interviewed this week to be the head coach of the Leafs. It's just, ew. Moose loves Toronto. He lives there. He's coming on with us next hour. I like to visit. I couldn't live there. It's just this vacuum. It's like, people, there's a whole country outside of you that you don't even care about. You don't even know about. There's 2 teams playing in a Stanley Cup Final that have worked their balls off to get there. You guys didn't even make the playoffs, but all you want to do is sit and piss and moan about this hockey team. That's a joke. I don't get the mentality. On the flip side, Vegas-Carolina is not the sexiest Stanley Cup matchup of all time. But you know what? What really would be? What do you want? I can't wait for Game 2 on Thursday. I wasn't able to watch Game 1 last night. But it is what it is. Jason in Red Deer writes, and he says, like I mentioned on your Facebook post, I probably listened to you during Rider broadcasts back in the day without even knowing it. So you could call me a fan from way back. Pretty sure you did. I was the voice of the team for a generation. So thanks. Jason goes on to say his game of the week is Montreal-Hamilton. I thought you were a Stampeders fan. And by the way, where is Jeff the Stamps fan? Is he didn't show up today? Is he afraid of Winnipeg? The Duck Hodges thing, I mean, I don't want to turn this into a Duck Hodges bashing show. That's not what we're here to do. I'm just saying the guy's going to be famous for being married to Lainey Wilson, which is totally fine. It's totally fine. Nelson went and looked up his stat line in the Canadian Football League. His entire career in the CFL, Duck Hodges, Devlin Duck Hodges, the guy that's marrying Lainey. Because I'm not TMZ. I don't care who's marrying who or who's dating who. I don't care. But you guys apparently all do, though. So Nelson says, Duck Hodges, 139 yards, career passing. 1 pick. Career completion percentage, 16 of 38, and that's it. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Doug Hodges' CFL career. We all know him because he's married Lainey Wilson. Good for him. Thank you, Ernie. Can you remember, Ernie, your picks? Can you write them down and put them on the fridge for Pump Jacks Cathedral and Pump Jacks Weyburn? He says Montreal will win this week, Calgary will win this week, and Edmonton will win this week. Those picks are exactly the same as mine, so that's not hard. That won't be hard to remember. 902-518-3033, where the CFL fans come to talk the RP show. How about that? As Kirk in Toronto is fond of saying. Oh, okay, yeah, BW says, okay, it is the RP show. I got time. Not a lot of time, but time to tell a story here. I said, what did you like about the interview? He goes, because it showed another side of you. My clock was set on CJCA Edmonton growing up. I'm still laughing at your horse story. So there's a farmer, I call him a cowboy, more so a farmer, Bill Ollie. His son's Keith Ollie, played in the NHL with the Lightning, Leafs, Oilers, Flames, and he raises Clydesdale horses. And our families are really good friends. So he had his radio on CKRM, my old station, 24/7 in his barn for these Clydesdale horses. Okay? And when I was working for the Score Television, we came out to do an interview with Keith, and there was an interesting story there that I won't get into. Great story, but anyways, that day we walked into the barn, and Bill didn't have the radio on. So all these horses, these huge Clydesdale horses, were all in their stalls. And we walked in to do this interview, and I started talking, and all the horses went, huh? All the horses turned their head because they knew my voice from being. My boss, Willie Cole, and I used to argue over who was on that station more, me or him. I'm like, Willie, it's me. 3 hours a game, sometimes 4, sometimes 5 hours. You're just talking in between songs. Come on, Willie. Those are the kind of discussions that we used to have. Arlen Bruce has checked in. He says, great day, RP. The Drake album, Iceman, is a pretty nice album. Oh, yeah, he says, Knicks versus Spurs tonight. He goes, I got neither. I was going to have that be the poll question. Maybe next week I will. Are you into the NBA Finals? I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is on that with all of you people, which, thank you, AB. If you showed up late, we only got to 2 topics today in hour 1, the Stanley Cup Final and week 1 in the CFL. You're really going to love tomorrow because that's when John Murphy joins us in hour 1 for a CFL preview. But so point 3. Matt Olson hit a tie-breaking home run. Bryce Elder bounced back from his worst start of the season, and the Atlanta Braves defeated Toronto Blue Jays 4-3 on Tuesday night. Game 2 of the midweek series goes tonight in Atlanta. Point 4, the battle for the Larry O'Brien Trophy begins tonight in San Antonio, where the Spurs host the Knicks in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Spurs are favored to beat the Knicks, just as they did when they met in the 1999 Finals. But it's New York who enters on the heels of a historic 11-game win streak, and it's New York who won the season series 2-1, including a win over San Antonio for the NBA Cup Final. It was kind of funny because I was on that radio station in Amarillo, Texas yesterday, 806 Sports, with my good friend Kenny Nagunst, who's mad at me because I said there was going to be a low-scoring Stanley Cup Final. He goes out and bets the under and loses money, and then starts bitching at me. But the co-host, I want to say his name was Slim Shotgun. I think that was his name, Slim Shotgun. He's like, Rod, do you follow the NBA at all? And I'm like, believe it or not, I do. Because Slim Shotgun didn't have a lot to say when we were talking about the Golden Knights and the Hurricanes. You know what I mean? But I said, yeah, I know. Get the Knicks and the Spurs. And I found out that Knicks fans are annoying like Leafs fans and Cowboys fans. As soon as the playoffs started, like, well, we're winning it all. And Kenny jumped in and goes, yeah, but with Cowboys fans, that starts at the start of the season, not just when the playoffs start. I'm like, yeah, we don't make the playoffs. Leafs, too. Point 5, we're going to get into this with Moose. There are rumblings that 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Aaron Donald is considering coming out of retirement to join forces with 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett now that he's on the Rams. Donald, who retired in 2014 after spending his entire 10-season career with the Rams, said the Garrett trade for sure. 2014, isn't it 2024? Anyways, he hasn't been retired that long. He said he was on the Super Bowl winning team. I was there. Who writes this stuff? Anyways, Aaron Donald said after the Garrett trade for sure got him thinking of coming out of retirement. And Sean McVay told reporters Tuesday that he's spoken with his former captain about a potential return. I'll bet you right now that he doesn't. Most football players, when they leave, unless your name's Vince Young, and even then, come back 100 pounds overweight. Aaron Donald ain't coming back. They all want to play. They all talk about it, but they never do. So, yeah, Moose will be with us next hour. He was at that Super Bowl with me. It was a typo, not a big deal. Our guest segment's brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Visit prairiepanels.ca or call 306-985-0050. Coming back with Hour 2, a lot of Stanley Cup talk, and as you see, some NFL, NBA, all the rest. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
All right, everybody, welcome to the RP Show. What a day. Wednesday, that's what it is. We're celebrating a lot of things today. We're happy to have you be a part of it. We're going to be talking a lot of hockey, some NFL, actually some NBA, believe it or not. That's not in our wheelhouse, but hey, the NBA Finals beginning tonight. And people are talking about that. We're welcoming viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports. Hello, Darren Dupont is coming up in segment 2 for a variety of reasons. Number one, the Nevada viewers say they really seem to like the kid. I don't know why. The winner of the Jason Sudeikis lookalike contest will be with us in the second segment today. June 2nd, Tuesday, was the 8-year anniversary of this RP show. As we sit here in episode number 1749. It was Moose's brainchild, and yeah. Yesterday, I was puttering around the ballpark where I call baseball at night. I'm like, June 2nd, why is that ringing a bell to me? Oh, that's when we launched this show in 2019 on various other platforms and channels and all the rest. So yeah, that's not why Moose is coming on, but just to sort of celebrate that a little bit, we're going to talk about the Stanley Cup. And we'll give you the other reasons later on. It's not about me, even though it's the Rod Pedersen Show. You're here to talk sports. And the Vegas Golden Knights are up 1-0 in the Stanley Cup Final after Tomas Hertl took a backhand pass from Colton Sissons and beat Freddie Anderson from the slot with 3:24 to go in the third period, lifting the Vegas Golden Knights to a 5-4 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh Tuesday night in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Vegas now 3 wins away from their second Stanley Cup championship. So, put it in park. We're going to talk about this for a second. I'll say it again. There's a lot of offshoots that I'm finding very entertaining coming out of the game. I didn't watch a shift of it, and it kind of ticks me off. However, I'm in the press box last night at the Ball Stadium, baseball ballpark, and I'm like, guys, all the other guys that work in the press box, Chumley, James, Corey, I'm like, one of you always has the game on. Jenna. And they're like, well, we're not paying to stream it. You got to pay to stream now. And they're like, they didn't care for Vegas or Carolina, and we had a baseball game to call. So we're just sitting there watching the scores. Like, look, it's 1954 coming over the teletop. 1-0 Carolina a minute into the game. Bing, bing, 3-1 Carolina. Then bing, bing, 3-3. Bing, bing, 4-4. What the hell's going on? 5-4, bing. And Vegas rides out of there with the victory. And, yeah, I was wrong with the pick, which, yeah, maybe Coach DeBuck was right. My football friend from South Florida says my picks were ice cold. That's okay. I'm not sitting here as a betting expert. God knows there's a million betting shows. That's not what we do. But we enjoy the game, and I want to ask. We enjoy the sports and watching the games. Last night I wasn't able to. I can't wait for Game 2 on Thursday. I'll be sitting there, ordering pizza from the Mad Greek Eatery, the go-to for hockey watching, the Mad Greek Eatery in downtown Moose Jaw. But what I'm enjoying is people saying that it was the greatest game of these Stanley Cup playoffs. And it sure looked that way. And, I mean, people act like that term chalk. I got it from the college basketball, a chalky tournament is it goes the way you expect it to go. Everybody wants that. Just so your brain wants order. Your brain wants predictability. It's not going to happen. That's not life. That's not sports. We thought it was going to be a low-scoring game, and maybe it will be the rest of the way because let's remember, Carolina got mollywopped by Montreal. Was it 6-3 in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals? That just woke them up. And then they came back and motorboated Montreal, won the next 4. Is this going to be a wake-up call for Carolina that they got beat in their own barn by Vegas? I don't know. But it just looked like a hell of a game. And then furthermore, I know this is a very, very, very sore subject in Vegas. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, who I got to know at the outdoor games in Florida in January, tweeted that the Carolina fans were chanting, "No means no," jeering Carter Hart, the goalie for Vegas, and we all know why. And I'm just like, way to go, guys. You just fired him up. You just karma'd yourself. You probably fired him up. Do you feel better? And what part of the term acquitted do you not understand? Which, by the way, is a whole other thing. We had viewers writing in here earlier that said Gary Bettman, well, John's the guy's name that wrote in from Edmonton. He goes, Gary Bettman must be happy we don't have a Canadian Stanley Cup champion. Gary Bettman would be real happy, I think, for a Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. So people like you, John, would just get off his ass before he retires. But prior to the game yesterday, Gary Bettman held a news conference. Kind of sad that I wasn't there, but it can't be everywhere. Bettman said he's not considering retiring anytime soon, so I love that. He reinstated Carter Hart. I went in the break and read all the story. The exact term was acquitted. And the female judge deemed that there was not evidence to declare these guys guilty. And they were acquitted of all charges. The Carolina fans want to troll the kid, Carter Hart, the goalie for the Vegas Golden. I don't know how long that's going to go on. But all you're doing is firing them up, so way to go. And then the other thing that I wanted to get into earlier is an offshoot off the game, as simply, I guess they brought out the Stanley Cup before the game. And the reason I saw this was my good friend Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet. I think he is hockey's top insider. I want to say it's Darren Dreger, but from TSN, because Dregs and I go back a real long ways. And he's from this province, but I think Elliot breaks more scoops and is more active. Whatever. He tweeted a photo of the Stanley Cup on a table before Game 1. And he said a lot of people have a problem with the Stanley Cup being brought out ahead of the series. Elliot said he didn't have a problem with that. But it reminds me of a few things. Number one, we were sitting in Lone Depot Park in Miami. First intermission, Winter Classic, Rangers-Panthers, back on January the 2nd, whatever day it was. And they brought out Alexander Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk, both hurt, brought out the Stanley Cup onto the stage where they had the act singing, and we were like, what are you doing? You don't bring the Stanley Cup out until you're handing it. But it's all different now. And the guys that handle the Stanley Cup are two very close friends of mine from Toronto. Obviously, they like the trips. And it just reminds me of Bree from Wellington, Florida, Brent's gal who watches from Wellington every day. She was named top 10 wedding planner in the USA. She's the one that asked me to become an ordained minister so I could perform weddings for her, the wedding planner. And so I was saying to her, I heard that they're taking photos before the wedding ceremony now, and they're doing this. That there used to be a thing that you can't see the bride the morning of if you're the groom. She's like, no, that's all changed. Oh, they're sleeping in the same bed the night before the wedding, waking up together the morning of the wedding. What? It's all changed. So if you want, Craig Campbell and Phil Pritchard are the two guys that bring the Stanley Cup out on the ice. And maybe we've had Phil on. Maybe we should have him on again. That's actually not a bad idea. He's got some great stories. He's probably a little busy during the Stanley Cup Final with the actual trophy, but it's all changed. And I guess in retrospect, they're going to bring out this silver chalice, Lord Stanley's mug, and put it on a table and say, this is what we're playing for. I don't see a problem with it. It's just never been done before, but times change. By the way, this is the warm-up. It's brought to you by Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the CFL's BC Lions. When it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway, trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. By the way, the text line is 902-518-3033. It's brought to you by Western Dodge. I'm just dipping into the YouTube chat here, and nothing there's really interesting me, so I'll continue on my own. And as I say, 902-518-3033. Where do you see this series going from here? I mean, I don't like that I missed Game 1, but I had to work broadcasting baseball. Canada's top summer baseball league. It is what it is. Oh, Wayne writes in and says, hey, Rod, I didn't realize that June 2nd was your 8th anniversary as a show. I remember how much fun it was since I'd never seen the interaction between viewers and you before. Right. That's what makes us different than every other show. And we just keep on rocking you, baby. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in. He says, when Gary retires, it's going to be real strange as the NHL's only commissioner. What do you mean? When Gary retires, it's going to be real strange as the NHL's only commissioner? Did you not finish that sentence? There's been several other commissioners. Clarence Campbell, John Ziegler. Explain yourself. Moose is coming in next, the founder of this show. to talk Stanley Cup playoffs and some NFL as we roll along in the Quick Six show topics. We spent the entire first hour really talking about the Canadian Football League, and we'll do the same thing tomorrow, but we're on the air in Nevada in hour 2, and we're not going to do 2 solid hours in the Canadian Football League, other than to say it's week 1 in that league that I spent 20 years in as a play-by-play broadcaster, and that's our poll question today. I'll say that. I mean, there are CFL fans in Vegas. It's week 1. What's the game of the week? What's Canada's game of the week? Brought to you by Country Thunder. The biggest party this summer is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP Show. Get your tickets now at countrythunder.com/SK. What's Canada's game of the week? Thursday night, an East Division showdown. The Montreal Alouettes are at the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Friday night football, it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the Calgary Stampeders. And on Saturday, the Edmonton Elks are at the Ottawa Red Blacks. I voted for Winnipeg, Calgary. I'm a Western guy. I will always be a Western guy, especially when it comes to the Canadian Football League, and that's what's leading the poll. We'll dabble on that when Moose joins us next. We did the picks yesterday. They're brought to you every day by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral, and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Point 3 of the Quick Six. We're still a Blue Jays show. I see no reason for that not to be the case. But when I said that I was on the radio at 806 Sports in Amarillo yesterday, the host, Kenny Nagunst, he didn't have a real good sense of humor. He goes, Rod, I never asked you, who's your baseball team, your favorite baseball team? I said, the Toronto Blue Jays. He's like, no. Do you have a pro team that you cheer for? Matt Olson hit a tie-breaking home run. Bryce Elder bounced back from his worst start of the season, and the Atlanta Braves defeated the Toronto Blue Jays 4-3 Tuesday night. Olson's towering shot barely cleared the right field wall, snapping a 3-3 deadlock in the 6th inning. It was his 17th homer of the season. Pausing the proceedings to point out for the live audience, it's 1:11 Eastern. 11:11 Mountain. If you're going to overthink a positive ending. See how that works for you. It's worked for me. Live audience observing as we go. Again, 902-518-3033. Oh, Pearl writes in. Pearl is in Calgary. She says, I loved your interview on CKRM. I sure miss your show. Hasn't been on Game Plus here. YouTube is just not the same. I can't help that. You do that's show business, Pearl. So I appreciate if you're able to tune in on YouTube. We're on Silver State. Move to Vegas, and you'll get us every day. People have moved to Vegas for worse reasons than to watch the RP Show on Silver State Sports. But what she's referring to is today, the radio station for which I worked 24 years, I added it up to a quarter century, is celebrating 100 years. It's the greatest radio station in Canada, and today they announced me as an icon, all-time station icon. 9 announcers have been named icons of the radio station for the last century, and I was one of them, so they did an interview with it, and I told my story on there, and I appreciate them for doing that. Very nice of them. Kirk in Toronto writes in on the Western Dodge text line. He says, hey, Rod, living in the Big Smoke, I'm close to Niagara region. The longest freshwater beach in the world, Wasaga Beach. Beautiful Grand Bend and the Adirondacks of Upper New York State. How about that? Thank you. There was a great show on one of those channels called Grand Benders. Did you ever watch that? They just put a camera up and followed around the owner of the bar, and he was this zany guy with his kooky wife. And it was a reality TV show. And they just filmed all the zany things that went on in the bar. Grand Benders. I couldn't get enough of that show. I assume that's what you're talking about. 902-518-3033, as I said. I'm not done yet. Oh, I see. Nelson says, Gary Bettman is the NHL's only commissioner. The rest were presidents, and their roles were slightly different. In my mind, just from what I know and see, a title is just a title. They're all doing the same thing. Herding cats that are the owners in your league. That's the job. And the fact that Gary Bettman's done it since 1993, made millionaires, billionaires. It's what he's done, I think. Made a lot more millionaires out of the players, too. I want to get into this with Moose next. Let me know how we're doing on time here, producer Corey, if you don't mind. Whoops. I'm what? I'm still figuring out this new laptop I got here. Oh, we've only got a minute. Okay. Point 4. NBA Finals opens tonight. The battle for the Larry O'Brien Trophy begins tonight in San Antonio, where the Spurs host the New York Knicks in Game 1. Spurs are favored to win this, which surprises me a little bit, but are you going to be watching? I know a lot of the U.S. viewers will. I don't think many will be in Canada, no. If you're not watching the Stanley Cup in Canada, you're dang sure not watching the NBA Finals. Point 5, there are rumblings that 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Aaron Donald's considering coming out of retirement to join forces with 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett now that he's on the Rams. Moose and I will be talking about that, Stanley Cup Final, and a whole lot of other things when we come back after this break. It's brought to you by Prairie Panels. Hour 1 brought to you by Suds. Are you stuck for gift ideas? Suds gift cards are the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. You're watching the RP Show, Game Plus streaming, YouTube Live podcast, WQVZ, and Silver State Sports.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, Silver State Sports, and a variety of other platforms. And I feel like I got a soapbox, I got a rant coming on. So but not now, not with Moose joining. Moose is joining us from the beautiful 6. Is that how you do it, Moose? You cool kids out there in the 6? What's going on, brother? Welcome to the RP Show, the show that you started.
Yeah. Hey, good to be on with you, man. And wonderful day out here. I know it's great everywhere, but yeah, good to be on.
Well, listen, we'll get to all this stuff and pat ourselves on the back and dislocate our shoulders later. They're here to talk sports, and the Vegas Golden Knights are up 1-0 in the Stanley Cup Final. I was calling baseball last night. I wasn't able to watch it. I knew that I had you coming on, though, and you wouldn't let me down. What's your analysis of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup? Vegas wins in Carolina 5-4.
Yeah, usually these cups take a little bit of time to get started, right? If you're waiting for a feeling out process, that ain't happening in the Stanley Cup. That was a tremendous, tremendous game 1. I mean, from Nikolai Ehlers 25 seconds in to Vegas coming back and flipping the script a little bit, and it came right down to the end. What more can you want? This is going to be a hell of a series.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know how much time you've spent in Moose Jaw in your life, but it's hockey, hockey, hockey. I love it. And I was in the baseball park last night. Some guy said to me, and his name escapes me, I should know. He goes, how about that stat that Nikolai Ehlers has already played more games with Carolina in the playoffs than he ever did with the Winnipeg Jets?
Yeah.
Weird. And I don't even know what you're supposed to say to that, other than, do you see Carolina coming back?
Oh, of course. I mean, coming back is way too premature for that. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we go back and forth on the pundits on who should be favored to win this series. I mean, Carolina, it's only the second game Carolina's lost this entire postseason. It is far too premature with all the studs that they have. I mean, this team is built to win a Stanley Cup, but then you've got experience on the other side, a lot of it, and you got a veteran coach who's won a Stanley Cup in John Tortorella. I know Rod Brindamore's won one as a player. This thing is far from over. I mean, this is a 6 or 7 game series written all over it.
Today's meme. This thing is far from Moose. You're always good with the hot takes, and the boys are coming with the hot takes. Scruffy's had his too. Well, let me ask you this, because again, I didn't see it, and I'm not going to go back and watch 3 hours of a hockey game. I'm just not going to do that. But how did Vegas do it last night in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of the John Tortorella method, right? Work. Just work, grind. That's what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. And, you know, Carolina had such a tremendous start, and they're so fast. They move the puck so well, and they're so skilled. But, you know, when you're playing against an opponent like that, you have to weather the storm. They didn't early. I mean, Carolina got up, and they had more chances. There was a couple of key stops from Carter Hart, early in that game. And then they slowly, one step at a time. It's that old saying, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. And you slowly start to turn the tide a little bit. And it's a team that's got lots of confidence. They never gave up.
Somewhere this morning I saw on some Instagram feed John Tortorella mic'd up. And maybe you saw that clip. It was exactly what you're saying. I guess he was like yelling in the guy's face. I don't know if it was during a timeout or what, or TV timeout. But he was like, we'll get our chances. Right? He's saying just keep working. It's like life. I mean, don't sit there and wait. Keep grinding every day, and something's going to pop out. By the way, Norm Fong is written in, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Rough Riders, Regina Pats, and Los Angeles Blades. Or is it the Sharks, Normie? L.A. Shark. He writes in, he says, congratulations on your anniversary with Darren. It's like we were married, Moose, almost 8 years ago, or it's the 8th birthday of the RP show was on June 2nd. He says the original Moose was Elmer Moose Vasco of the Chicago Blackhawks, signed Fongo. Well, I gave him the nickname because of Andre Moose Dupont, the former Philadelphia Flyer, and there's a funny story with that. But that's where the name comes from, Moose Dupont. So I said I've had a lot of fun things coming off the Stanley Cup Final, like Bettman's comments, and people are mad. They brought the cup out before the game one last night. People think that shouldn't have happened. What are you seeing? What are you enjoying with surrounding what's going on with the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, all of that. This is always a wonderful time of year. We always have the debate. I was going to say this is the best time of year, but then we get to the fall, and I'm like, this is the best time of year. And then we get to the middle. Every time is the best time of year in sports when good things are happening, and that's what's happening. In the Cup, I'm watching the videos, right? The Stanley Cup preview video with Ray Bourque all over it. Like, how do you not get chills watching that? And then when they bring out the Stanley Cup and put it on display, and the players are like, this is what we're playing for. Like, how do you not get a little emotional when you see that? I know some people don't like it. I think it's great. Then put it away and bring it out when it's on the line. That's so cool. Eric Stahl won a cup. He's in the building, ripping the horn. Rod Brindamore on one side. I love both these coaches. There is so many good storylines in this.
It's great what you talk about the videos. It's not every Florida Panther fan is like this, but there's a lot that have this serious chip on their shoulder and small man syndrome. And the one thing that I saw on Twitter, they're like, oh, the Stanley Cup video, there's not one clip of a Panther in there. The Panther hate is real. I'm like, oh, my God, you were just in the last 3 Stanley Cup Final. Maybe everybody needs a break. It's new. Oh, my God, they're disrespecting us. Oh, my God. Anyways, you're in Toronto, where everything's about the Leafs, and I find that unbelievably annoying. But they're always. What's your hockey Leafdom? What's going on there that you're following?
Yeah, the coaching search is popping off a little bit. You're starting to see Peter Laviolette and Patrick Waugh's names coming up today as having scheduled interviews for the Leafs' vacant head coaching position. Be curious where they go with that. How much of a rush they're in to get a coach in place. My, instinct into just, feeling out the situation, reading online and stuff is they're probably going to take their time. And why wouldn't they? I mean, there's no rush. There is a number of quality coaches out there. Look, John Tortorella, I don't think is signed to a contract yet. He hasn't signed an extension with Vegas unless I missed it. Is he not going to be a commodity by somebody, right? You look at what he's done. So that's what's going on. And then obviously the Mitch Marner stuff continues to get shoved in our faces. I think, that's a little bit more manufactured. I don't sit here and see a lot of people in the community necessarily whining or one way about Marner or the other. It's funny, in Toronto, they're building up this hate that everybody's upset that Marner's doing well in the playoffs, but in Winnipeg, they're all excited and happy for Nikolai Ehlers. It's such a difference. And maybe that's the Eastern Canada, Western Canada thing. I don't know. But you know what? I'm happy for both players because they get an opportunity to win. And I know they're grateful for the opportunities that they have. So just be happy for these guys to have this chance to win a Stanley Cup.
I think you've hit a little bit on the Eastern versus Western thing. Can you just spread a little bit of your Western hospitality and sunshine on the Eastern people out there? Because, and to be honest, I don't think it's the fans in Toronto, but I really know that it's the media because I see it. And they're all over Mitch Marner, and they're creating this horrible thing that he can't go back to his hometown. He really can't. He will be a villainized Leaf alumni, right? Am I wrong? That's how I see this playing. I mean, and he probably isn't going to want to go back. He's going to win a Stanley Cup of Vegas, and that's his home. But it kind of sucks not being able to go back to your hometown and be celebrated there after a lot of years with the Leafs.
Yeah, it does. But, that'll go the way Mitch Marner wants it to go. There's always opportunities to repair that, and, he'll be fine. And I will say that, the Western hospitality is a real thing, but it's not lost out here either. It just happens that the unhospitable, or you want to say the people who are whining and complaining in any market, they always make the most noise. So we don't often get to see. There's a lot of wonderful hospitality in all parts of this country. But you know what? If Mitch wants to come back, which he's from the area and all of that, I hope he brings the cup back. I hope people celebrate it because at the end of the day, you should want people to do good.
I guess we're both getting slightly ahead of ourselves because he hasn't won the Stanley Cup yet. But he's, of course, going to take the Stanley Cup. I'd love for him to have a little celly right at center ice on the concrete at Scotiabank Arena is what I'd like to see. Coach DeBuck writes in from Fort Lauderdale. He says, ChatGPT says Vegas wins the Cup. You know what? I was all in on ChatGPT. Now I'm like 98% out on ChatGPT because I've gone to it for some fact-finding things, and it's been wrong, and it might be wrong about that. David number 1 in Winnipeg writes in and he says, "Hey, Rod and Moose, wanted to wish you many more years of success with the show. Couldn't be happier to be an almost day one fan of the show." So June 2nd, yesterday, was the 8-year birthday of the RP show, which Darren founded. I guess for the Nevada viewers here on Silver State, do you want to spend 60 seconds on how it started? You might as well. If we're not going to do it now, when are we going to do it?
Yeah, you know what? It was funny, like how much convincing. It took a little bit of convincing. I had to twist your arm a little bit, and I mean, obviously, you were weighing a lot of options as a free agent. There was a lot of different options and paths you could have went down, and luckily did a good enough sell job to get you to come and do the show, and we put this thing together. And I remember those early days, man. It was something else. All the people that came through, and everybody that just supported the show. Guests that came on, sponsors, you name it. The places we went, I was looking through old photos. We were in Montreal for the Stanley Cup Final, LA for the Super Bowl. We've taken that thing a lot of places, man. And with what's going on in Vegas being on the air there and other markets, it seems like there's many more chapters still to be written.
Well, I should footnote that because I left that job in the Canadian Football League on the radio, and yeah, there were other offers, but Darren's like, would you consider hosting the Rod Pedersen show? And I distinctly remember the day. I don't remember where we were, but I said, where's it going to air? And you said, Facebook Live. And I was like, I'll do it. For a variety of reasons. And in Canada, you can look it up. We have the reputation of being the first digital show. And in less than a year, we're on Game Plus TV. It was before COVID. Anyways, enough about all that. I just want to tell the story of this show, because if we don't tell it, I can tell you darn sure nobody else is going to. But I told you, we're on the air in an NFL town. There are rumblings that 3-time Defensive Player of the Year Aaron Donald is considering coming out of retirement to join forces with 2-time Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett now that he's on the Rams. I don't believe that's going to happen, but even Coach Sean McVay said he would be open to it. I think it kind of depends on what kind of shape Aaron Donald would show up in. But with that, the trade itself, OBJ going to the Giants, A.J. Brown going to the Patriots, it's been an interesting week in the NFL.
It has. As soon as the window opened for these moves to happen, they started happening really, really fast. And you know what? I know Cleveland Brown fans are upset that the trade happened and that there maybe wasn't a bigger haul coming back the other way, but still got a pretty good return, I think. There's a couple of things here. Look, Aaron Donald, I think he's 35. Every time I open my internet and see anything about Aaron Donald, it's him in the gym. And he looks ripped. Now, he said if he's got the juice to play, then he'll consider it. I've seen some quotes along that. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. If he's even considering it, you got to think it's going to happen. If you're even got the itch and the questions, you got to go find the answers. Unless you know. If he was coming out and saying, no, my time's passed, I could see it. I would put money that Aaron Donald's going to take a snap with the Rams this year. And we got the MVP on offense. Now you got the MVP on defense. They got to be the Super Bowl favorites.
Well, they already are the Super Bowl. They were the Super Bowl favorites before the trade to get Myles Garrett. So, yeah, for the LA Rams fans, they're pretty excited. John Bender and I had a great discussion with that yesterday. I will take the bet. He is not even going to show up in training camp because all these football guys are the same. Ron Estee, you remember the old Swamp Dog? LSU Hall of Famer. He's won 9 Grey Cups in Canada, I believe is the number. It's a ridiculous amount. Defensive lineman. Could barely understand him. He talked like the coach in The Water Boy. Couldn't understand him. He had this thick Cajun accent. But he always says, I would cut my arm off for one more play. I cut my arm off for one more play. And I'm like, yeah, you would cut your arm off for one more play. You'd have that play. Then you'd cut your other arm off for another play. That's football guys. Milt Stiegel, NFL, CFL alum, was running the 40 last year or 2 years ago. They always want to come back. Vince Young. The hockey players largely are like, bye. They check, skate off into the sunset. But that's just football players. Colton San Diego writes in, he says, and LA is hosting the Super Bowl. You still think he's like, how far do you think this goes? He's going to be in training camp with the Rams. Like the OTAs are over, so it's too late for that.
Yeah, the thing with Aaron Donald and a player like that that has that reputation. I would even go like, it's like Aaron Rodgers. You tell us when you're ready to play, and we'll have a locker waiting for you. You know, if you don't want to come to training camp and you can be in shape to play, then that's fine by me. I think he's got a reputation that, you know, he's got a lot of leniency here, a lot. I think if he's going to make this decision to play, it's got to happen at training camp. I think so. But we'll see.
Brent in Wellington, Florida writes in. He says, glad to turn on the show and see you both. Happy hump day, fellas. Thank you, Brent. Rob from Windthorst writes in. He says, happy birthday, guys. It's been awesome to watch the show evolve over time. That's right. June 2nd was the 8-year birthday of the RP show, and I was puttering around the ballpark where I broadcast baseball last night going, June 2nd. Why does that ring up? Oh! That was when we launched the show. June. You think, I'm sorry, Darren. Mind you forgot. Now that I think about it, you didn't remember either. It was your brainchild.
Well, I was going to wait till after and text you. The birthday's today. The birthday's today. It's June 3rd. And the reason I know that, is back in the day, not anymore. I had a bunch of 4-digit codes. You know, you needed pass keys. It was 0603, June 3rd. Day one.
Like,
so, I mean, I didn't want to do that, but I had to.
I feel like Will Ferrell. In Old School. You forgot your birthday? You forgot your birthday? You remember that? With Marlis?
Yeah.
Or whatever the hell her name was. You forgot your birthday? CFL picks. Where'd the time go here? Where did the time go? It's week 1. Okay, just take a swing at the poll question for Country Thunder. What's the game of the week in the Canadian Football League? You know what they are, right? Of course you do.
I don't know. It's so hard. Yeah. Probably, to be honest, I was going to say Montreal and Hamilton because, you know, the top 50 came out and you got Bo Levi, what is he, number 2 in the top 50, and Davis Alexander's number 9. And I actually was thinking, man, they're really not giving Davis Alexander a lot of credit here. Only at 9, I thought he'd be higher. How does somebody be underrated and they're ranked in the top 10 of the CFL? But the only game he's lost was the Grey Cup. So I'm really excited for that. What does Hamilton have with all those guys? You know, Kenny Lawler, Bo, all these guys that are ranked in the top, 25 of the CFL. And then you got Davis and Montreal. For me, that's what I'm looking forward to.
I finally saw, I was doing a little research, believe it or not, for the show, and it said, can Hamilton end the longest drought in CFL history? I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one saying it. I was kind of feel bad. I was the only one saying this drought since 1999 for the Hamilton Tiger Cats is the longest the CFL's ever. I felt like I was the only guy saying it. So, so you see why. They got a big chip on their shoulder. Who do you think wins that game, Montreal and Hamilton? I picked Montreal.
Yeah, I got to go with Montreal because, until Davis Alexander loses the game, that's not the Grey Cup. Why wouldn't they keep it going? So I'll go Montreal too.
Yeah. Plus he was hurt. Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, "Hey, Rodalicious and 2 Smokes Moose, can I get a CFL MOP prediction before the season starts tomorrow? Thanks, Vintage. It'll probably be Nathan Rourke based on he's the sexy guy. That's the Canadian quarterback for the BC Lions. He's like the it girl. He's having a glow up. My guess it'll be Nathan Rourke. 30 seconds till we're gone.
You know what? Let's run it back and give me Zach Caleros as MOP. And have one splendid season. Maybe he's done and goes to DAZN after this. I don't know.
Got him thinking Winnipeg. Thanks, Moose. See ya. We got Winnipeg on his mind. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover. You're watching the RP Show on Silver State Sports.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy,
through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with The Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Fun day, making me laugh. I forgot our birthday. I had the wrong. Oh my, don't I feel terrible? Moose says today is our 8-year birthday. Yeah, I thought yesterday was. Oh well, thank God I brought him on. Allie Hicks writes in. She is watching in Sherwood Park. She says, happy show anniversary, RP and Moose. Best sports variety show ever. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you, Allie. I think I'm going to go have pizza. Pretty good way to celebrate, wouldn't you say? Sports variety show. That's kind of really what we intended this to be. You got it. You're picking up what we're laying down. I do feel real bad. If you're watching, she says it's not the same on YouTube. She's been watching us on Game Plus for years, and we're not on Game Plus anymore. And I don't know what to tell you other than we've kind of been hammering this over the last week. It's not 1985 anymore. Ever since we haven't been on Game Plus, and we're still on Silver State Sports in Vegas and Nevada, our streaming numbers have tripled. Our social media impressions are through the roof. So it is what it is. But I mean, people of a certain generation, maybe mindset, just want to push the button and there you are. And that's not the way that it is anymore. So others have found us here. And we thank Silver State Sports, obviously. They are now our overlords. Which, speaking of, sports update for the Ultimate Fan Zone. Well, that was fun. The Golden Knights beat the Hurricanes 5-4 in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, rallying from an early 2-0 deficit to steal home ice advantage. win their 7th straight playoff game and hand the Canes just their 2nd loss of the postseason. Entering Tuesday, road teams were 0-55 when trailing by multiple goals at any point in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. And that was a fun chat with Moose for like a lot of reasons, but we basically, Moose been around sports a long time. Not as long as me, but a long time. I felt bad, us both debating if Mitch Marner is going to take the Stanley Cup back to Toronto, which if they win it, he will. Everybody takes it home. I would think he would, but they haven't won it yet. And that's the lesson in it all. Sports update. After back-to-back years with no All-Star game due to the Four Nations face-off and then the Olympics, the NHL is sticking with the international theme for 2027 next year. 5 teams, 5 countries will compete in a 3-on-3 tournament with the winners taking home $2 million. Those countries? USA, Canada, Finland, Sweden, and the world team. Soccer. Saturday's Champions League final between PSG and Arsenal averaged 3.1 million viewers on CBS and peaked at 3.9 million during the shootout, making it the most watched club soccer match in U.S. English language television history. I don't even know what that means. A couple of weeks ago, I said, what is PSG? And the viewers wrote in, they said, Paris Saint-Germain. Oh, thanks. Is he related to Val Saint-Germain? My buddy and former CFL great who has just been announced to the Ottawa Sports Hall of Fame. Oh, that's a town? I don't know if I'm going to get with this soccer thing. I mean, I'm reading it. I'm trying. Renegade is the morning line favorite for this weekend's Belmont Stakes, followed by Chief Wallaby and Kentucky Derby winner Golden Tempo, who's back in the 9-horse field after skipping the Preakness. And back to hockey for a second. Columbus's Zach Werenski beat out Colorado's Cale Makar and Buffalo's Rasmus Dahlin to win the Norris Trophy, becoming the 6th American to be honored as the NHL's best defenseman. Oh, and by the way, the sports update, as always, is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone. I feel like every day I'm wearing something different from the Ultimate Fan Zone. Are you looking for the hottest fan gear? I got this Jets hoodie there. Swing by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca, where real fans get their gear. We're coming back with overtime right after this. Dag nabbit, it has been a fun show as predicted. Get your final comments in 902-518-3033 on the Western Dodge text line, or if you're watching on the streams, right in there on the YouTube chat. One more segment coming your way, and it's been heavy with NHL today, some NFL with the Moose, Week 1 in the Canadian Football League, which is always near and dear to our heart. It's where I'm from. It's who I am. If you have any thoughts on that, and Vegas was at one time a CFL town, of course, we'll be right back after this. You're watching the RP Show on Game TV streaming, YouTube, and Silver State Sports.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for the final segment. It's gone fast. We try to have fun here every day, but today's been extra special. And, we're brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's been an interesting summer, Coach DeBuck. I feel like we need to get some phone time. The most famous high school football coach in Florida, 3-time state champions, writing in. I said I'm going to celebrate a great day going into the CKRM icon. They're calling it like a Hall of Fame. That's pretty cool. I'm very grateful for that. I'm going to celebrate with pizza. Coach DeBuck says, thin crust RP or extra crispy or thin crust? I like it all. I'll eat it all. Had the Chicago Deep, just owned a pizza restaurant that was thin crust. What did we call it? Coal-fired. I owned that place. Kind of missed that. I like it thick, thin, you name it. I'd like it all. As you know. Yeah, but it's been a moving target this summer. I guess that's where I was kind of going. I know for a fact that it's popping up in CFL stadiums across Western Canada throughout the summer because I've already got it booked, but some are changing and so forth. We're going to get to Calgary. I don't know if I'm going to get there in a couple weeks' time. Thought I was, might not. It's only like 2 weekends away, 3 weekends. I don't know. One day at a time. See why I do that? Going to be in Vancouver for sure. Going to be at Mosaic. Jason in Red Deer says, what was the most popular pizza at Famoso Pizza, Rod? I might head there after. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't own it anymore. Where were you when I owned it? The most popular was just a plain old pepperoni. My favorite was the spicy Thai. When I bought that restaurant, I had made this goal of going through every item on the menu, eating every single item because I'm like, I own it. I should be able to answer these people's questions. I got stopped on spicy Thai. Nope, it doesn't get better. And then when I sold it, it's interesting because I had all these sports celebrities coming through there. We had artists coming through that were playing. Like Luke Bryan's probably the most famous artist that we had there. And I had photos with me and all of them on the wall. We sold that place just before COVID. And the new owner left all those photos up. I'm like, I feel like I should be charging you for that or something. Whatever. Who cares? Colton San Diego writes in and says, I like the margarita pizza. That's my favorite. That was the second most popular. It's the lowest calorie if you really want to know, but it's also the most boring. It's really just tomato sauce, crust, and a couple dabs of cheese. So, yeah. One day, our server screwed up the order of the person that asked for gluten-free pizza. They got gluten in the pizza, and they had a attack on the floor. That wasn't a good day. That was where I learned what you do when you're trying not to get sued. Yeah. 902-518-3033. I'm asking about PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. Is he related to Val Saint-Germain? Nelson writes in and he says, think of it like Regina/White City. LOL. A suburb. Okay. Why do I need to know? Yeah, I can't. I'm tired of answering television programming questions. You found us, and that's the main thing. I can't anymore. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. Oh, the NBA Finals are tonight. What's tonight? Wednesday? Will I be watching? Why the hell not? I can't think of anything else that's going to be on my television other than the Spurs and the Knicks. Pretty proud of myself coming out of that last job where I was the voice of the CFL team for 20 years. I only followed one team, only followed one league. And when Moose presented me the opportunity to host this show, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to learn all these leagues. I don't follow them. I've been doing okay. Going on the radio in Amarillo, Texas yesterday, holding my own in an NBA Finals chat with Slim Shotgun. That's his name. And my boy Kenny Nagunst. It was a lot of fun. MLB tonight. What did I say? I'm following everything. This ain't hard, okay? We're not running into burning buildings and dragging out bodies here. We're talking sports every day. The Blue Jays are at the Braves. My Marlins, like it's always going to be a Blue Jays guy. But I do live in Miami. I'm kind of following what the Marlins are doing. They're at Washington tonight. And then the A's slipped out of first place in the American League West. You thought I wasn't watching. But they're only a couple of games out. The A's are at the Cubs tonight. What do you got, Producer Corey? What'd you say? Okay. That's the cue. For those, it's a wonderful summer. We talked a lot of Stanley Cup Final here today. I get that Vegas is crazy. I'm following from Canada here on Silver State Sports, where tonight we got a baseball game. My Millers are home to the Weyburn Beavers, part of 5 in the Western Canadian Baseball League. For the Canadian viewers, there's a pair in the Canadian Elite Basketball League tonight. Mark Cuban's Brampton Honey Badgers are home to the Edmonton Stingers tonight. There you go, everybody that's asking where our CEBL coverage is. And the Calgary Surge are at the Niagara River Lions. It's a great league. We're just not into it as much as we used to be because my friends aren't in the league anymore. And we kind of got the NHL and the NFL tugging at, and now the CFL tugging at us, going, hey, talk about us. Hey. We'd like to work with you, so why wouldn't we? It's our favorite leagues anyways. Tomorrow, John Murphy for sure, and I'm blanking on who I booked for hour 2. I'm feeling like because it's game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final, we should probably be getting a hockey guest. What do you think? Especially if we're doing CFL football in all of hour 1. And for the Nevada viewers, they're saying, what is this hour 1 you speak of? It's on YouTube. You can follow the Rod Pedersen Show. Plus WQVZ. Let's not forget that radio in the U.S. South. But we talk about all Canadian sports, and people really seem to like that because it's a total other world. So, as always, thanks for sticking with us, everybody, on episode number 1749. Thank you, Moose. Thank you, Producer Corey. Most of all, thank you, viewers and sponsors. Without you, there won't be us. We'll do it all again tomorrow here on Silver State Sports and everything else.
That